Howdy, Smo.
How are you?
Outstanding.
Hello.
I like her.
Howdy.
Thanks for bringing it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're from Billy's.
I don't know Billy's.
Oh my gosh.
Hey.
Our Billy's is so good. There's one in Lenexa, but then there's one like downtownish. So there's a sugar cookie with an amazing frosting
How are you
on
today?
Or
I'm hanging
there's
in.
chocolate chip, or
But that's not great.
I think you got the.
Work has me
what's on
extremely
that
stressed
there?
out.
Is
I
it
don't know. Yeah. Okay.
cookie?
So.
I
I don't think I
love
don't know if they become. Works. Yeah, yeah. It is, I mean, you know.
I was gonna say something. When I asked you about the fabric that we're, is sorry fabric.
Oh, okay.
I
It wouldn't go in the down for us.
Yeah.
It would be whether it's you would want to use it to make something say for you. But I would show you.
I'm Dave Smothers.
Yes, and but she's. Farmer's market cookies.
Oh, yes. Yeah, this is. Okay.
Can I just grab one? Please, yes. I brought it
Oh, it's for super. Sorry. I got the. So you have to can of chemistry, so I just know that. I took it and I got that now as well. My brain is a little bit foggy
Thank
right
you.
now.
We'll be kind then. You won't ask me how there.
Well, I used to love that, but it's been so long.
So I would be there every time we have it.
I'm like-
I do typing it. It's like
Just check it out, and I've actually never been in this building.
I need to see by
Jennifer, nice to meet you.
I might.
It's a pretty place. It's a very pretty place.
I learned a lot, like. Yeah. How you been? Pretty good. I really enjoyed it. There you go. Very good. Also, I was so sad I'm not gonna be able to use like double pie. I
Oh, good.
mean, that's my kind of.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
They're so sweet and they, I don't know, our missionary was done.
I don't know, cause,
What's that?
Julie,
Vanessa.
Vanessa,
Vanessa. Yeah, Vanessa.
Okay.
I keep wanting to call her Valerie and I don't understand why. She wants to say Valerie. It's okay. She's not Valerie.
You said she'd be absent.
Instead of Vanessa.
She didn't.
It's really irritating because I don't like to get called.
Jane, have you heard from Jerry?
he's back.
He's in
Okay.
town.
Yeah.
I waved at his wife yesterday. You never know when they're in town or not.
Right? Yeah, they're active.
This is
still
Jerry.
traveling.
Both of the daughters live on the East Coast. They travel.
Maggie said to tell everyone hi. She's in the throes of the class at the moment.
Yeah.
It was
Midterm,
nice to
right?
see her at the, project completions, et cetera, before Thanksgiving. Ribbon cutting, nice to see her there.
Everyone's dying slowly, and you're like, no, this is your sweater.
Why would they die? Are we going to do another project or? I think they're like tired, they're ready for a break, and it's like. Oh no, we have to. Yeah, we gotta wrap this up before summer, guys. studio, so you could go whenever.
Me too.
And it's like, so like the last like maybe 2 or 3 weeks of like, and our studio also closed down on stop day. If you couldn't do any work after stop day.
Yeah.
We had to have everything done before stop day. So like like 2 or 3 weeks before that, like we were basically sitting there. I mean, we would go home and shower after a couple days, but we were
People would like get a little bit crazy and then we'd be like, you should probably go eat something.
for 45 minutes.
Same, I used to have like key access to the studio.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore.
They do not.
They don't. And so everyone gets mad at me because I'm like.
It's like that at K-State.
It's still like that.
There are architecture studios, yeah, you still have free reign.
I don't think it's a metal studio though.
Yeah, I don't let people, and so I'm the only faculty member there on Friday, and so I lock all the doors, and I'm like ready to get out of there.
I mean,
like,
yeah.
2:50, I'm done. And
That's
they were like, please let me
Great.
speak, and nothing was locked. Because you can get out, like, dude, I will get in so much trouble.
I'm gonna call this meeting to an order. However, we don't have a quorum, so, we will not be voting on the minutes this time. We'll have to wait until they get tabled until the next, meeting, because we don't have a quorum.
Unless someone shows up.
Yes, and then we can backtrack to
Yes.
that item, but
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. If Jerry pops in or anyone.
and can I request that my name be put in attendance on the last one?
Yes, I apologize.
You're totally fine. I just know it's not still that way.
Because of this, I will never forget your
Oh
name.
my God. Awesome. I love being known as that person.
No, I meant, otherwise, yeah. No, but, yeah, I apologize.
Sweet.
Very
No
nice.
worries.
No, but that is important, that, to me, that's important because I think you read minutes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
thank you.
yeah.
You did a heart.
That's important.
Yeah.
I know our minutes aren't big and complicated, but it's important that we actually make sure they are reflecting what we talked about in the meetings from your perspective. So, kudos.
You get about this. So I will add them. You're in the
I'll
group.
leave my cookie.
So Christine, what I'll do is I'll add them to the minutes and then we'll just approve them next month.
Okay.
Which I don't know, do you meet in December because of the holidays or?
No, normally we don't.
Skip to be January.
I think Jerry's still done.
Oh, good.
Alright, so
Oh.
Lauren made a meeting request for us on our calendars, but I noticed that like in 2016, it reflects on the first Thursday instead of the second Thursday, so I was just wondering if we were gonna switch, like, do we need to switch the calendar? Do we need to?
I don't have it on my calendar.
I never got a calendar thing. Right.
Huh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Cause I actually wondered where it was. I was like, we're here.
I was wondering where this one was.
We will always be here
Oh,
Ah.
unless otherwise
Mm.
stated.
Okay, good to know.
Maybe we should meet in, the garage one time, cause we could then just sit there and enjoy the laundry.
My hearing would not like that.
Yeah, I don't have a.
Jerry.
I don't have a change.
Jerry's favorite.
Well, you guys are not that. This.
The other place, we were just talking about that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I think, the few times just recently when we did it over at the community center was specifically for the Milagros group. So
Yeah.
that was our plans. So, that being said, we now have a quorum, and, if everyone, with the addendum of.
Sorry.
Maybe Christine's
As
name.
president and
As
council.
being president, yep.
Are you a member of the committee?
With,
Oh, I mean, what am I doing here?
with that addition, do we have a motion to approve the minutes with that addition?
I'll put it
That's Christine.
Second?
Yeah. Christina.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes, please.
All those opposed? Sweet. Alright, next item up for bid on the Price is Right is the the City Hall window project update 2026.
Yeah, so, I just wanted to kind of give you an update. The artist, contacted Caitlin and wanted to know that her schedule was kind of filling up. And so she wanted to know, hey, are you still interested? And we're like, oh, yes, we are. And so I was hoping that I would have, a time frame in which she would be available to start on the City Hall project. As you remember, that construction project is it can be done at any time. It doesn't affect the overall construction process of City Hall. So I was hoping I would have like a date or timeline for you, but I really don't. Hopefully maybe springtime, she'll be available to come in and complete that window project.
Did we vote on which of the designs we wanted?
So I'm glad you asked. You're the second person that has asked that
Who asked
question, Christine. So if you remember, and I'm gonna go because I'm kind of in the middle or caught on after it started, how she was selected and that she was to do the windows. And then if you remember, I brought some samples of the actual, and we did look at the designs. I think there were 4, and we kind of talked about which ones that we liked. And I guess I was under the direction that you were just gonna see what you thought of them, that there wasn't an official vote, and I hope that I wasn't wrong in that, but just the fact that which one you liked best, and we discussed the colors and what it meant, and so we kind of came up with one, and that's kind of the one I pushed forward, is that's kind of what everybody liked. And Christine, she asked me, how did that process, did we vote on it? And the answer is we did not vote on it. It was just more of what we thought of the designs. And Sean had mentioned that, if you don't mind me saying, that this particular project is kind of looped into the construction process of City Hall. So this was not necessarily an art committee project per se. It's the city's project of the construction, and they basically kind of just wanted some input on the design. That's how I took it. Now,
Yeah, I took it as like we were saying what we liked and giving our input, but it wasn't like up to us necessarily.
okay.
I mean, that's how I took it when we did.
Okay, well, I want to know how you took it and what you
Yeah, that's
thought.
fine.
My perception was the same as yours.
Yeah.
Sorry for the confusion.
Yeah.
And it came from, I believe that the city under that construction project chooses where that budget comes out of, under the auspices
Yeah,
of
I'm just
city
gonna say
council.
it's not
City
coming
council
from
said,
our funding.
right, said, well, I don't know how, but it came out of the art budget as far as I know. At least when we got our last breakdown, it came out of our art budget.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
And
which again, I'm okay with that. I think most of us would be okay with that. I'd like people to speak up if they weren't, given the small nature of it and that we liked Karen in the first place.
We love Karen.
And I've been copied on emails, so the point of the contact has been with Caitlin, Assistant City Administrator, and the artist. And then Warren and I have been copied. So that's kind of where it may be different than Milagros, where it was Lauren. Lauren was the city liaison. So I think that's what's changed, is that she's the project manager of the construction project. That's how she's kind of spearheading that in that respect.
So then, will we be able to kind of have some of the same things, or, like we had an artist talk from Milagros, like will we be able to have an artist talk for her as well? Like would we be able to host something like that for her, even though it's not
sure.
necessarily like under our, like,
Yeah, I can certainly have something, yeah.
bag? Or, I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah, like, or, like have, I mean, I don't know if we necessarily need a ribbon cutting for it, but I mean, that would also be, it was kind of nice to celebrate, like,
Oh, yeah. And it was great that the artist came back.
I know,
Yeah.
so nice, I love that. But yeah, that would be kind of fun, right, to be able to have her talk about her other work as well too.
That project started, that renovation project started from the Public Art Committee too in 2019. So it's like, it's a whole like, it
Oh,
brings it all back
remember last month, we kind of talked a little bit about 1% for art. And so Lauren actually shared kind of a draft proposal that was kind of in the works. And so I asked her, I said, well, has the art committee seen this? And she said no. And I guess first of all, I should back up. We're now on our second series of funding for the arts. If you remember, that goes from the CIP Capital Improvement Project Fund, 5 years, $100,000 each. And the first wave was Still Time, and all our big public art pieces. And then the city kind of basically renewed another $500,000 for the next 5 years. So, and we really only spent roughly a little over $100,000 so far with in Milagros mural, the art project, and the cards, the study. So we roughly have, and I can give you the exact amounts next month, because I don't have what Cara's actual input price was, but I can give you more, and then I'll keep each month, I'll give you kind of a checkbook, hey, this is where we're at. But for just big numbers, like 380,000 is probably what we have left. And if you remember last month, we kind of talked about our next project is going to be around 250,000, not to exceed 250,000. So if you take that minus that, then we're going to have about 130,000 left after that project's done. So I did a little research, and I don't know how much you all know about the other Johnson County entities and what they do for 1% for art. But I did kind of contact Johnson County and Leewood and KCMO, and because they do have things in place for 1% for art. And then basically that would be the funding mechanism for this group. So currently the city is just saying, hey, we recognize the importance of public art. Here's $500,000. Here's $500,000. But if you wanted to go this route, I don't know, that probably would change. What's the funding mechanism? So is it whether it's a CIP or 1% for art? So some of the big, the county, KCMO, they have 1% for art, but it's 1% only on city projects. So they're not taxing the developer or the small business owner or whatever the 1% for art. Leewood, who I contacted, theirs is a little bit different. They said, yeah, they did 1% for art, but now we do 15 cents per square foot, which is weird. But anyway, it's a formula they come up with, and that's how they, the bigger square footage of the project, the more money that is put into that account. So I know, kind of in what we were talking about would it be nice with all this development if we had a 1% for art, and that's what funded, this particular committee. Go ahead.
My perception was that this would be an additional funding mechanism beyond what the city council was already doing.
Okay.
So that was my perception.
This is plus.
Yeah, because, and here's why my logic was thinking this way, is the city council is given, $500,000 over 5 years. That's a consistent thing that's reliable. Developer is not. So, okay, we go, feast or famine. Famine could be a very long time when we look at a community the size of Merriam in terms of funding this by just a 1% for art. I see it as an opportunity to do more community-based, think bigger, think more creative, right? It gives us a little more leeway than just that 500. Was my perception.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, it wasn't the 1% for art, like they could choose to use that money on their own, so
That was one of the things that
it
was kind of.
wouldn't necessarily fund us in any way if they chose to.
Right, do it themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says right here in section 14. Dash 435, section A.
Oh my God, thank you, amazing.
They can choose to buy their own art.
Yeah.
And install it, yes.
Yeah.
So as long as they come weekly,
Like
for you
Yeah.
So I thought what I would do is give you this, we not necessarily have to come up with any corrected ordinance this evening to take to, and obviously we're advisory and it would go to city council. It was just simply something that we had, that Lauren had worked on and that she had, and it's kind of definitely just a draft or if it's something you agree with, don't agree with, that type of thing.
And we have two council people here that can represent some of the things we talk about for this, who can take that to their other council members when this comes to a conversation. But I think this is our opportunity as committee members to really, say, hey, what are these things we like, or what do we not like, or what are our thoughts around what that means? Kind of like what I articulated a minute ago, my own perception being, it's an augment to our regular, annual funding.
Yeah, I think so too, I kind of agree with that.
Can I just ask a clarification question? You're talking about development, not only 1% sales tax.
Correct.
Correct.
1%
Yeah.
1% on development, on commercial development,
Thank you.
not private residence.
And I think even in there, it does give council the authority to waive it for whatever reason, whatever those reasons might be, as well. So anyway, something, if you just wanna look it over and then maybe bring it back, it would be in January, bring it back and kind of your thoughts, suggestions.
You can feel free to email him your thoughts and comments, but don't copy the rest of the group.
Yes, it's only to come to me.
That would be a,
Did I
violation.
violate?
That would be a
Oh my
violation.
god, I'm sorry, you guys.
Is this, on the website or?
No, this is,
So this is not here for this?
no, not at all, this is only an internal, Oh, yes. That's Jason, thank you very much. This is just an internal committee document. It's not official, it hasn't done any, I'm just providing it. I thought it was a great resource. It's kind of a starting point and we can kind of move from there if you choose to. And what we would be doing is once we have this complete, it would be basically going to city council for their approval.
So this is not, you're not posting this to your Facebook, like, hey, this is really.
No. No, like I said, I think it was a document that was started and I just thought that you guys should look at it and see what you thought. Yeah, I know,
This is a starting point.
it's a very revenue,
Yeah.
elementary starting.
So we would come back in January with our thoughts and amendments and change it and then offer it up to city council and say can you talk about this at your next meeting?
Yeah, see what they think and
Okay.
Maybe tell us to kick rocks in the park. Keep going
It could
with
be a project.
But I would look at it in detail, guys. I mean, because there's some pretty interesting language in this, actually. Okay.
I would just add that Roland Park also has an ordinance, so hopefully, I think I always think it's helpful to look at neighboring communities to see
Yeah.
what they're doing,
Yeah.
especially, Roland Park's smaller than Merriam, but
Right.
similar
Oh,
sized cities.
Yep.
They had an issue where they didn't cap their 1%, and so the Rocks development that just kicked off and program was like, the developer was questioning it, because it was like almost $1 million that they were on that they would be on the hook for. So that's, there's a cap on it.
Yeah, here, it's
Yeah.
350.
Just like that, I
I
noticed
was
that when
thinking
it went out
about that.
for a council person.
Yeah.
But I love it, that you got $1 million. The Rocks site, it broke ground this week, last week.
What rock?
Like right by.
The old Warrior?
Yeah,
Oh, what are they gonna do with it?
multifamily.
It's
It's
great
not
that
old,
it's a swimming pool.
Yeah, oh, that's fun.
Yeah, that's probably why the city council would want something in here, is to say that you
Yeah.
can,
Cap it.
or that they could say we're not doing this 1% or something, in case it were to quash
It's an interesting point that I wanted to bring up, that like
not having a cap created a problem.
create a problem with the
Yeah.
developer.
You know, I was thinking about that 15 cents per square foot. You know, that's a fixed thing. You can measure that and say, okay, this is what you owe me. Whereas the developer's always gonna play around with what the real cost is.
Oh, yeah, like what the number is,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's an interesting point.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why they went away from it, I don't know. They said they've been about 15 years is how long they've had this 15 cents.
I wonder how 15 cents equates to 1%, like, I think it.
It is less, it's a little less,
Okay.
I think.
So they call theirs an art and public places initiative.
I get your point, that's kind of intriguing to me, I'm gonna play with some math.
Well, because
Yeah.
the contractors will always budget. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, when I look at some of our developments that are occurring here, or even what may happen along, you know, Turkey Creek over the next 10, 15, 20 years, what's that mean, you know, in terms of square footage as opposed to because the cost of building is only going to go up. It's only going to get worse. Well, I say worse, it's just gonna go up, I shouldn't quantify. But a square footage price would not.
Well, you could always revisit.
Right, yeah, or even have, that's where I was going with that, is in that case, you may wanna say every 5 years, the language should be revisited for the number of pennies per square foot. You know what I mean, or does it go up by the 4%,
Well, yeah.
you know, cost of living, whatever that number's called. Things like that, those could be.
Those pictures.
Huh, interesting. That requires some algorithms.
I just, because you brought it up, I want to clarify that the downtown Merriam, plan is not even at the 65% complete yet, and there have been no discussions with developers.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Or,
Yeah. But eventually something's going to be
Yeah.
built, not just.
Yeah.
As city council members, would that have been a deal breaker for those developers to add that extra 1%?
Like this existing developments.
Yeah, like the
For,
ones
like,
that
what's
got,
happening
like
now,
what's
yeah.
happening now, like what's happened within the past like
And I have
2 years.
super the days because of the ones I've been a part of.
Right.
But we, since part of the redevelopment agreement, we asked them to put art in the space. So they spent money on art.
Right.
So.
And they didn't spend a tiny amount.
Right.
Yeah, yes, that's
Um,
right. Yeah.
The big piece plus the murals too. So I think, I don't think it,
Would have
I
been.
can't speak for,
It would
I
have
can't
been.
speak for developer, but I mean, they were amenable to having conversations about it. It's not a part of the other, yeah, no, we did, there's, in our
Yeah,
redevelopment,
there's
there is something for public art for the redevelopment as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So it's
I'm not exactly sure what.
Yeah, 'cause
It's
it's
not
not
something that's
similar
like
PV,
Yeah.
I remember the language in there.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly the exact language.
All I remember is them saying it won't be like the glass sculpture that's on it.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
But I don't think they've even
They're not that
decided
far.
what it's gonna be.
And it could be if they have space or don't have space.
Right, and I think that was
Yeah.
the conversation too, is like if we can find the space when we're laying this out, but, you know, if we had a conversation with you, what does that mean if you can't?
Yeah, muralistically, I think is one of the things they
Yeah.
talked about, but it can only be on things that they manage, so you could, of course, you know, the grocery store to put a mural on the building,
Right.
things like that. It's questionable.
Did you see my face?
I did. They could, but they would have had to negotiate.
Yeah, it would have been negotiated at least, yeah.
And I'm sure that's already, that should say,
Yes, yeah.
so, but that's an interesting. So, cogitate on that, guys, really seriously cogitate on it, because that looks at, you know, long past, we're not on this committee anymore. You know, how that stays as an active part of how we can, you know, it's not always going to be just filling the community with visual sculptures or murals. There's gonna be, as we've talked about in here, more as we look at more creative ways to do that, it's gonna be community engagement, et cetera. It's the master plan.
Thank you. I was gonna ask if you have an extra copy of that colorful document you were talking about a second ago.
The master plan?
No, there's one that was passed around, wasn't in the agenda. Looks like an ordinance number on the front of it.
It's what we've been talking about, like I said, it's a very draft, that hasn't been reviewed by.
Yeah. I'd just like to see, do you have a copy of that?
Nope, no,
using this one right here.
I'll have to kind of back in a second.
In regards to that, now I lost my train of thought.
Think about it.
Master
Yeah.
plan?
Spent a lot of time.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, master plan long term, we're gonna be doing, I would think, more community engagement, small community engagement type items, things like that. And that's, you know, when you have this from the funding income, if that's the way that it evolves, it's nice to think about small things, you know. I like some of the small things that we've done, and I think there's a lot of fun opportunities in all the little pockets of our communities, right? So, anyway, thank you, sir. Okay, anything else on that particular item from a discussion perspective?
I just have a question, as possible. I mean, like, we wanna have comments at the January meeting, but then do you have any idea when staff would want us to review this at the council level yet? No, that's fine, I was curious. I haven't heard anything.
I'm gonna be honest with you,
When's your budget cycle? I
We're
forget.
Well,
already,
yeah.
already approved our budget for
I mean, for
26.
next year.
Oh, it'd be like, starting in, I don't know, as early as like May, June.
Okay, so.
So you approve in August.
I think we
even
can
earlier
get it
than
done
that.
before then.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
That's, I mean, in my mind, this is like, you know, next year.
27.
Yeah, exactly. You're talking about it in 2026
Mhm.
for 2027, because that's when things are starting to wind down from what we have for the 5-year, et cetera, et cetera. So just trying to be proactive. So.
But Stacy brought up a great point, though. You have to remember, city budget cycles, we're, you know, May is 27, so it's,
Exactly.
yeah, that's what, yeah.
But it's, I don't know, I like the idea that that takes a while, because this needs to be thoughtful and mindful, because it impacts a lot of things. Okay, moving on to the next item up, item number 3, the public art project, next public art project timeline. Take it away.
So, put timeline on there, just to kind of, I thought then that would help us back things up as far as, you know, the selection process of the artist, and requests for proposals and all those sorts of things. I didn't know if this was, I wanted to get your opinion on if this is a 2026 project, you know, then when would our call for artists need to be, then when would our proposal need to go out, those sorts of things. So I was just kind of looking for guidance as far as kind of what you were thinking. I know last month we talked a little bit about items that need to be put into the proposal, you know, the specific design and the sturdiness and all those things. But I didn't know if you had a particular timeline in mind.
Well, let me ask you first, have you had any time to put into implementing other comments in terms of what those things would be in an RFP?
No, not yet.
Okay. I mean, I think from all of our perspective, it was, you know, as soon as possible. Okay. I mean, would that, everyone's, I mean, I think in our last meeting, that was what we were all thinking is, there's no reason to hesitate or wait, so the sooner the better. So, you know, if there's something that you, I would first implement those things that we talked about in the last one in terms of an RFP and what that language would be, so we have time to look at that. So we can say, yes, this is appropriate, I think this meets the things that we all discussed in our last one, our last meeting, which were not only about, you know, the durability, the restrictions, but how you would, I think we had very lengthy conversations about making sure that went out actually in a broader scope than we initially, or broader footprint. You know, I think there were even arguments globally, but I think at first we were talking about very narrow, but it expanded because we wanted to make sure we didn't miss opportunities, and I think we all agreed on that. So make sure that that's, and that we thought that refining it by how we language the RFP itself should reduce us having to skim through 190 some applicants. And if that does occur, I think we all learned a lesson that if they didn't follow the exact language of what we asked for, they're just out. Don't even bother looking at the work, because that's disrespectful to our time, and we should just move on from those. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah.
So, I think a big goal on that is trying to get, as many good responses, so that we're looking at that as opposed to a lot of garbage. And I think that comes down to the language of that, request for,
Perfect.
I always need help with words, brother.
That helps tremendously, because then that kind of sets.
Yeah, and I think, the sooner the better. I mean, now the soonest you're gonna have that for us to review in a committee format is January. So, I think that gives you plenty of time to do that. And when I say you, I mean you as a city.
Yeah.
I know you won't be doing that. So, do you guys all agree with that?
Yes.
So the processes that have worked previously, you've had great luck with it, you change anything?
No, other than what we stated, which is narrow, specific in our language as to what we're looking for.
So, I wasn't at the last meeting, so I presume that these things that you say that it's a creative, interactive place, might be able to be climbed on, or all that's kind of what our criteria for the RFP, right?
Yeah.
And that's, and nothing additional.
At least and since you weren't here, do you have anything that you're thinking about in terms of that?
No, I think you guys are just, wonderful people.
All right. What do you
No,
want?
I think that's fine, I think that's fine, it's broad, but narrow too. I mean, you say that if you're not looking, we don't want to pay these here, so, we can get this outdoor 3D.
Yeah. And there are height limitations, I think all of those
Yes.
things will be.
I mean, we want to cast as wide a net within that line.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
without being too crazy.
Yeah.
Jamie?
This is called Turkey Creek Park.
Turkey Creek Streamway Trail
Okay.
is the trail. The Butterfly Garden is the closest, I guess, landmark, if you will. There's a wide space, I think I gave you guys some pictures. There's a wide open
Yeah.
space there. And interesting, when I just mentioned that's the area that we're looking, there was a lot of dog lovers that were concerned, oh my gosh, because that's where I take my dog, because we don't technically have a dog park there. But Sean brought up a point that maybe we don't have to be limited to just that space. It could be other areas along the trail.
Perhaps, Chat Lane Park
Do we
has some
think maybe
huge.
we should like kind of look at that park and maybe narrow down? So it's like, choose out of these maybe 3 places, or if you could utilize all these 3 places, but do you think it would be helpful to the applicants to do that?
Yeah.
I don't, maybe, I'm just throwing it out there.
Stacy?
Well, that'd be, so we would be doing an RFQ first, where it's not really, okay, so we would be just getting an idea
That's right.
of the artist's work and their
You
breadth.
would be more correct.
And then, so I didn't get it correct, it's in my brain. And then we would narrow it down to 3 and ask them for a site-specific proposal and interview them, is that correct?
That's how we did it last.
Like last time.
Yeah.
And visit here, yeah.
I think what they're getting at is, it's a huge area, and, there's a lot of opportunity there. And, I don't think any of us wanted it to be like, this square footage in this exact spot is the only place you can be. I think that's too limiting. I think as artists, we all would like to have the opportunity to be like, wait a minute, that area there is talking to me. Or I think I can make you something amazing right there. And
It's
so,
like this little weird, this little shape right here by, across from Public Works, right?
yeah. That was the initial, place that people
Yeah.
called the clearing.
I mean,
Well, it's in Charlie Park, they're float.
Yeah, if you, well, that's.
Well, yeah, they all need it.
Chatelaine Park is like on the other side of the butterfly area.
it's
It
like,
should
yeah,
be
it's like a half a mile away.
Chatelaine Park is
right off
It's
Oh,
too-
but it has a huge
Jan?
Oh, Jordan, you were the first person to say interactive.
Oh, yeah. Because I've spent so much time at the clearing, which is the original place we were talking about, or just spent so much time on the trail, and there's, like, especially at the clearing, there's a lot of people who go there. They park at the Happy Feet soccer place, they walk down the trail and go to the clearing as like their destination, just to hang out with their dog or play catch with
Yeah,
their
when I stopped there
kids
to
or their
take,
friends or whatever.
when I stopped there to take pictures before our October meeting,
Yeah.
or was it the September meeting? I think it was the September.
I think.
Yeah, it's crummy weather, it wasn't great, and yeah, even in that moment, late in the afternoon, there was a ton of people there, which was really cool.
Yeah, I think it's
There's
just
been a lot of activity.
it's got a lot of activity and it's just a cool green space, within Merriam that isn't actually like a park or a playground, but it brings people to it, like people go there.
Together.
Yeah, yeah. And the creek is right there. I mean, my kids were nasty playing in that creek all the time. I mean, yeah, it's.
But when I think of interactive, I think of movement and.
Yeah, I guess when I think of interactive, I think of like you can touch it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like this like standoffish art piece. It's like you can, you can.
We don't encourage it, but we hope that it happens.
I think it's like blessings pieces, right?
Say that again.
Like blessings pieces at
Yeah.
the community center, we don't say like,
Touch it.
don't climb on it or touch it, but like people do, right? Like, there's
Yeah.
so many pictures of my kid and her friends and, you know,
Like sitting on there.
growing up.
Yeah,
Exactly, like, it's so fun.
And that clearing is, we also talked about, that's the A.M. Myers Homestead location, there's a memorial stone there, et cetera, which is kind of cool. Oh man, I had another thought. Oh, we wanna make sure in that RFP too, that as in the previous, or RFQ in the previous one, they need to look at this and put this in their mind when creating their proposal.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
did
that's
like
right,
do their
right,
research.
yeah, and, yes, for sure.
I mean,
Because-
it's there for a reason, and it provides them with the information they need to meet Merriam's wants and desires, because this came from the community. This isn't us, this is the community. So, that's an important, thing to reiterate, right? I mean, we spend a lot of time and energy to get the community's engagement in that, so we wanna make sure that they can engage. And that was one of the things Milagros really did, that was one of the reasons
Yeah.
that we were triggered by them as a really good candidate, because they really took the time to look at it. And it showed, so,
I'm sure that, yeah.
okay.
I was just gonna share, still awesome comments about people that are coming into the community center and just raving about, oh my gosh, the stairwell is awesome, it's very inviting, it gives off a really good vibe, it's not, very appreciative by many.
I just wanna share a fun fact, like I was driving up the Way to the council on Monday night, and I like looked over and you could just see, like with it being dark so early now, you can see like it just kind of glows as a beacon.
Oh,
It's the
yeah.
color, and now that the wood is gone from the elevator wall, and it's so colorful, and it pops when you're driving south on a way, you just see it, it's just so, you can see it from City Hall too, like if you're sitting in the parking lot, so.
Oh, I'm gonna check that out.
Which is bright and inviting.
So to circle back to our timeline, so in January, we'll be able to review the RFQ. And then after that, we'll get, so basically kind of mid-January, we'll be able to get that posted. And then how long do you want? to do
If
that?
we like it, yeah.
No pressure. My first one.
Yeah, no, basically mid-January, and how many months are we wanting to keep, are we wanting to keep it like open a month or 2 months, or?
I would use the same, I think the timeline
Yeah.
that Lauren used in the previous one worked out great, so I would.
I think we had 30 days for
I think it was.
respond.
Yeah.
Was it? Right. I think it was,
If you get access to that account, I think you
It
should
should
probably
be.
be able to see. Yeah.
Like happening,
Yeah, she just said that she just renewed it, so.
Okay, I was gonna ask, assuming that we would use Cafe,
I-
that was We'll just be
independently.
able to get artists that respond to it too.
Yeah.
Because it's a widely used platform.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about Lauren still being here, she will definitely know me.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
So is our end goal to get it so that they get started in 2026 and possibly complete by 2026, or do you think it's?
I mean, that would be great to have that expectation, but I would be prepared for disappointment. I mean, I say that because there's a lot of hurt, not only from our perspective to pick one, because it took us even after we did the process of going through Milagros, it was still, shoot,
We did
6
two
months
months.
before we had everything even ready for them to make a decision on when they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
So, and this is a much larger undertaking potentially. So I would be prepared for the spring of 2027 that it would get installed, to be realistic.
Realistically, you'd have to, sorry to cut you off, you'd realistically have to have it installed by the end of October, early November to avoid, because you can't dig, right?
Yeah.
So like.
So yeah, and then it pushes it, which I find, it could happen that quickly, but I find it unlikely. My guess is even if we were pushing things hard and we made a decision quickly this spring on all the people that apply, hoping there are a lot of great ones that apply. I have a hard time seeing it being something that wouldn't get installed until the spring of 2027, honestly.
Because it could be what other projects they're already working on and when they fit into their.
In logistics and getting all of the permits, because they have to submit all those things to the power company, through the right of ways, all of those kinds of things. There's a lot of logistical elements that aren't just building it and putting it in, you know what I mean?
No, yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah, and that's gonna be a heck of a hurdle. Well, it is and it isn't, they just have to file and do it, that's all.
They're additional steps.
Yeah. And that could be time consuming, so. We want it now. Yeah, no, I get it, but I would also say though, that now that we have this process kind of worked out, that there's no reason while that's happening, that we couldn't be doing a smaller project as well. I mean, wouldn't you guys agree?
Well, I was gonna actually
Yes.
ask that.
As long as the staff can keep up. I mean, we have to be realistic about that too, but I think, some of these smaller community engagement type of things that we're talking about, if we have ideas around that, why not bring some of those as we start the end of winter, the February meeting or whatever, we bring some of our ideas to that, in terms of notes and meeting minutes. That's a good opportunity for us to look at some of those smaller things we can fill in that time, make events happening that aren't, long, drawn out processes, et cetera. So, that's an idea.
Yeah.
So you wanna make that a thing, February meeting?
I think so.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, why not?
Oh, I got ideas.
They might wanna do it sooner, I guess it would.
Well, I think, that's true.
Should we meet in the summer?
The only reason I don't say January is because we need to be focused on.
No,
You don't want to say that.
Yeah, and this right here, those are, we already have a pretty full agenda for that.
Yeah.
Jerry mentioned something a long time ago about South Park.
South Park.
South Park and contributing in some way, Jerry.
Cherry
Well,
on the
thank you.
floor.
Thank you, Janet. I said I was prepared.
And that's gonna be real small, just.
I think Jan's referring to something to, recognize the South Park, desegregation case and also include, the Walker School. I think we're duty bound, and I think it's a good duty to recognize that. And then have the city really confirm.
Do we have-
our piece, or something, right, but, yeah, but there's a lot of good spaces around there.
Yeah.
Do we have a vehicle for, what that might be? Like, has there been any?
No, I have no idea.
What that might be?
Jerry
In
and I.
February, we're gonna be chock full of ideas.
Everybody bring 5. No, just kidding.
Jerry and I drove through that area recently,
Yeah,
and, I took a lot of photos and I went back and I walked. that area. And I'm not even sure about the land that's right in front of the former Walker School building.
Yeah, that is.
Well, there's
It's
a park, there's a park,
religious,
there's a
I
park
think
across the
it's
street.
religious.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so.
But I took
Hang on.
I took pictures of that,
Yeah.
and, I do think we have to somehow address that.
Sounds like
Yeah,
you're starting
there's
to
also,
formulate priorities.
there's a long, there's a lot of people that long-lived Dutch made motel, which would be a very visible thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm around Merriam Drive.
Yeah.
Stacy, you had something you wanted to articulate?
Yes, Philadelphia Missionary Baptist Church is the church that's there. They are working on historic designation. I believe they've got historic designation from the state of Kansas. They're working on national historic state of recognition. And they are planning, and I don't know where they are in fundraising, but they're planning for a major renovation of the church to include a museum to have artifacts and tell the story of the Walker School and the desegregation and all of those great things. So I wonder if we could somehow be a partner in that endeavor. Multi-Studio is an architecture firm in town, and they did the original renderings and plans. I don't know where that project is right now, but we were getting periodic updates from the church at the city council level.
So are you suggesting that might be where we would reach out
I don't know.
to, maybe?
Yeah,
Maybe?
I
Okay.
just kind of giving more
Yeah.
context to
Yeah,
that, because I
yeah,
think
no,
it's a
that's
great
great.
idea. And
Because I just don't want us to do something in a vacuum.
Right,
Right.
we're like brainless,
Yeah,
yeah.
step on what they're doing, I think we're saying we wanna
Yeah.
augment what they're doing.
Yeah,
And to add what you're saying, since it's historical, would that be something where we might be able to get like a grant or
That's why
more
they're
money
yeah.
That's
from?
why they're trying to make it historic designation, so they can be able to access tax credits.
I did see the plans, and they were, I don't know how I saw them, but I think it was connected with the library, right before that opening. And, I don't see why we couldn't do something small, maybe that would get started before they finished up, which it looked to me like a project that would take forever.
Yeah, I absolutely feel like we should be, like, have their involvement heavily if
Oh,
we do
yeah.
something,
Oh,
like, if we
yeah.
wanna do something.
Oh, yeah.
That was kind of a big part of the next project timeline.
Yeah.
But I think
No, that was
we're
very
touched on
helpful.
some of the things that we'll do beyond that, I think that sets you up for the next multiple months,
Yeah.
maybe even the next 5.
Very, very helpful,
Yeah, okay, and, feel free to make sure that that's all down correctly, et cetera.
A lot of that's due to, I wanna be prepared for budgetary, when things are gonna fall, and it'll be helpful in case they ask me that. That'd be very good.
Okay, so any other comments or items anyone wants to say around item number 3, the next public art project timeline and its augmented conversations? Okay. Number 4, city updates.
Really just had two. Wanted to remind everybody on Thursday night, December 4th, is our 29th annual high school art exhibition at the gallery. This is the one time that we invite the area high schools to participate and submit works. We'll have roughly about 100 works, and it's really a fun evening if you've never been. I call it the future of art because it's the students that are putting out their stuff, and it's really some tremendous things. So it is at 7 p.m. on Thursday night, so if you're not doing anything, stop by for some little refreshments and see some art.
It's one of my favorite things that we do in that gallery.
You were a judge.
I have been judged
Judges
several times,
before, yes.
many years ago, but it is one of my favorites for one of the reasons you said. It's just, you see where, that generation is coming from right now, and it really helps me as an artist, like, expand my thinking, because sometimes I get kind of stagnant. Like, oh, wow, yeah, where are they coming up with this stuff, right? And, you know, even with media and tools and things that they're thinking about doing, it's one of my favorite exhibitions. It isn't necessarily always groundbreaking art, but it's really, really gets my brain working, and I love that.
What high schools are involved?
There are 18, so we go as far as Lawrence, and then on the other side, Fort Osage, and then Ray Pack, Lisa, yeah, it's really all over. So kind of what sets us apart, what sets us apart is I know the city of Overland Park does the Cheyenne Mission School District, but they just do Cheyenne Mission schools, where we have opened it up to basically anybody in the, we say metro, but Lawrence, I don't know, you probably say Lawrence is not in the metro, but the Lawrence schools have participated, so, it's, like I said, it's really, if you get a chance, and if you can't make it for the opening, it'll be displayed all December long, so you can stop in and take a peek.
And it's all media types.
Yeah.
3D, 2D, jewelry, sculpture,
Computer generated.
Yeah, it's everything.
Yeah, that's fun.
Okay.
And then the other thing I had, just informational wise, is our Christmas in the Courtyard. It's going to be on the 5th, which is the very next evening at 6:30. It's a Friday evening, and that's where the mayor flips the switch, and we're not nearly like the plaza, but we do light up all our city buildings and a big giant Christmas tree, and once again, a fun event for families and whoever wants to stop by.
Okay. Any other updates?
That's all I have.
Okay. Yeah. And any open items from the floor? Anyone? No? Okay.
I don't have him.
You did see, I'll say one, you did see that each of the committee members.
Oh, yes, committee members get a heart. So I've set them out, so where you sat, you feel free to trade, negotiate. Exactly.
Okay. If there's no other items, then I would take a motion to adjourn.
Motion seconded.
Okay, thank you very much.
Awesome, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, Christine, just.
I was telling everybody.
Okay.
Everybody.
Huh?
I know the buildings.
Yeah.
No, I'm studio C.
So like it's some light
I know.
This.
I like that one.
Jared. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Jason's wife.
Oh, Jeff, of course, yes. Thank you. Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna go get the rest of the cookies.
Were there?
As always.
Did they sleep your house then?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think so. I've not seen any checks.
I think we need a.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for connecting me.
You did get connected.
Yes.
Okay, sorry it took so long.
No, that's good.
In high school, I think they're doing a lot.
Like, a week after you were like,
Okay.
Well, it's
Hey, so I
just
gave
How you doing?
so.
Pretty good. What have you been doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Yeah. have been used.
Oh, yes. What's that? Well, I would like to say.
Oh, if I didn't, you don't have to ask for it.
The hours are a little bit.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, because Karen's schedule.
Oh, sorry.
She's kind of the only one that's out of here now.
Have a nice evening, Christine.
I meant to bring it today, but I was gonna.
Alright.
Yeah.
Where did I park?
Oh.